This is the most powerful production Mercedes S-Class ever made. It's called the Mercedes-AMG S63 E Performance. It cost over $209,000, and it might just have one of the coolest rear seats I've ever seen on a car. So today I'm going to review it and show you guys everything that you know about this car, from the specs, down to interior and exterior, and much more, because I'm Xaaron, and you're watching Xaaron Reviews. So first thing first, I want to talk about the design of this car, because it is definitely pretty cool. First, of course, we're going to talk about the front of this car, because even though this is a Mercedes S-Class, it is the most powerful Mercedes S-Class ever made. So that means it does have different design features than you see on the regular S-Class. And first is this, because check this out. You have these really cool, massive air intakes here with this really cool, almost like dark golden type of tint all around this like air intake and grill and stuff, which is really cool. But as you guys can see, you have your air intakes here, which are extra large compared to the regular S-Class, because obviously you need to feed more air into that extremely powerful engine. Then you also have these really nice S-Class lights here with your main nighttime running light there. You have two little fog lights in here as well, which is quite nice. And then you also have your two nighttime running lights as well. And this is also a daytime running light here. And you also have little Mercedes-Benz badging actually on the headlight, just tiny little badging right there, which is also definitely really cool. Then, well, you move on to the front of this car, and we have to talk a little bit about this badge, because literally this is massive. My hand is 6.5 inches. I just measured it, and literally this badge is close to 8 inches in diameter, which is just crazy. It is extremely huge. As you guys can see, you have that signature Mercedes-Benz 4-pointed star, and actually, interestingly enough, you have a massive Mercedes logo here, and then here, instead of having a Mercedes logo like you'll have on other cars, there's AMG, which is the name of the company that helps Mercedes tune their car. So AMG is a company founded by the founder of HWA, which is a brand new German car company. But let me just tell you guys, they are pretty much the M division, I guess you could say, of Mercedes. So they create the most high performance and aggressive version of Mercedes that you could buy. And actually, check this out, interestingly, you could see you have a little tree. You have a little tree with little apples on there, but then you also have, that's the thing that goes down, and it releases the gas and air mixture into the cylinders. And you also have the crankshaft, like the side view of the crankshaft, in there as well. So that is definitely a nice little feature there. You can move on down here, and you have a massive air intake or grill here with that massive badge on it. And truthfully, yeah, this grill is just massive. You have these really nice, like, dark, I'm not sure what this color is called, but you have this really nice dark gold type of trim, because like at certain angles it looks almost goldish trim all around the front of this car. Then you also have your radiator, as you guys can see back there. Then you will hop down here, and you have more air intakes. And check this out. This is something really interesting that I rarely see on regular production sedans, which is this. If you go under here, there's actually an air intake. Check this out. There's an air intake feeding onto here, because if you look over here at the top here, that is the radiator right there. So all the air flowing under the car, like let's say all the debris and stuff, instead of it going straight into the radiator, it's just going to pass through this first radiator and just let the clean air flow through first. So that is definitely also really nice. Then you have your main radiator down here as well, which you guys can see right here. It's actually like two radiators almost stacked on top of each other. Check this out. Two little radiators stacked on top of each other there, which is also definitely another really nice feature. Then also for this model, you have a little bit of aggressive like lip spoiler pieces around the front here, and overall it definitely looks more aggressive to somebody who knows the difference between the regular S-Class and the S-Class S63 E Performance. So that is definitely also really cool. Now, let's move on to the side here, because you have these really nice rims here. This is the AMG exclusive rim, so you could only get this on the AMG S63. And yeah, as you guys can see, nice metal rims. You have the Mercedes 3-pointed star there, and actually, check this out. It looks like it's center locking, right? And if you don't know what center locking is, it's pretty much one massive bolt that race cars and a lot of Porsche GT cars use on their rims so that you could easily take the rims off like quickly, and you won't have to take off all 5 bolts at the same time. So it looks like there's a center locking bolt there, but it's actually 6 bolts hidden under here. So this is kind of an aerodynamic piece and a piece that makes it look more like a performance oriented car. Then also you have this really nice AMG brakes here, which are just massive. Check this out. Massive AMG brakes here in red. You have these really nice sporty brake calipers here, and if you're wondering why the brake calipers look like they have holes in them, well, it's on purpose because, well, these holes allow the brake caliper to cool off quicker than if it didn't have holes. So that allows, obviously, for you to brake better, especially when you're on the racetrack. So that is definitely another really nice feature. Then you have a feature that only American production cars have, which is this, your little side reflector light there. That's only American cars have, and not European or Chinese or anything like that, only American. But that is definitely also quite nice. Now you move on to the side here, and you also have V8 bi-turbo badging here because this engine is bi-turbo, and if you guys want to find out more about the specs, keep watching because we'll talk about those in a second. Then also, as you guys can see, you have E Performance badging here, and if you're wondering why it says E in the name and E Performance on the side, well, that's because this car isn't just a regular old naturally aspirated, not even naturally aspirated, but internal combustion engine car. It does have a single electric motor that helps this car create over 791 horsepower, but we'll talk about that more in a second. Now, let's pop open this hood because under there is the wild V8 that's powering this car. So, let me go grab the keys, pop the door open. There's kind of hidden under a red latch here, and this is actually a double pull unlatch style, which is kind of new, but you pretty much just pull the latch twice, and then it unlocks the hood. So let me pop this hood open here. You have nice hydraulics there, and so now let's talk about the specs of this car, because right here is a 4.0 liter bi-turbo V8, which is pretty crazy because not only is it a 4.0 liter bi-turbo V8, it also has help from a single electric motor that allows it to create over 791 horsepower and 1,055 pound-feet of torque, and that's just from the engine and electric motor combined. Then all that power goes through a wild 9-speed AMG speed shift transmission via all 4 wheels. But anyways, you have that 9-speed automatic transmission, all-wheel drive, which is definitely really nice. Then you have a 0 to 60 in a mind-boggling 3 seconds claimed, and that's just claimed by Mercedes. But well, this car's real 0 to 60 is tested 2.6 seconds, which is just crazy. I mean, this is a S-Class sedan. They're meant for and known for being luxurious and not extremely fast, but this is insanely fast, but still insanely luxurious, as you guys will see later in the video. But anyways, then you also have a top speed of over 186 miles an hour, which is also extremely good for this car, because as you guys will see later in this video, the interior is wildly spacious, the exterior obviously looks really nice, and you still have a top speed of over 186 miles an hour. Then you also have a quarter mile in 10.8 seconds. So you have a quarter mile in only 10.8 seconds, which is insane. I mean, that's literally brand new supercar territory in a luxurious Mercedes-Benz sedan. So you have that wild quarter mile. Now let's talk a little bit about more regular specs about this car, which is the MPG in range. And this is actually a really cool hybrid because this has over 16 miles of electric-only range, and this is not meant to be a full EV or even a mild hybrid. It's meant to be just slightly hybridized, just so that the engine could create more power. But you have 16 miles of range just electrically. You have 390 miles of range just from the engine and electric motors combined, so 390 miles of range just like that. So now I told you guys pretty much everything that you know about this car, performance and regular spec wise. Let's talk a little bit about the price of this car, because this car right here is $209,000 in this exact spec with everything as you guys see it right here. But originally the Mercedes S63 E Performance Well, starts at $180,000. So this has over $29,000 just in really nice specs. And as you guys will see later in this video, they definitely count. So, now that I told you guys pretty much everything that you know about this car, performance spec-wise, now let's talk a little bit about this engine, just the way it looks. Because, first thing first, you'll see this. Handcrafted by Mark Schwab, because all Mercedes-AMG V8 engines and even V12s, they're all actually handcrafted by a special engine builder in Germany. And you also have Afterbach AMG badging there as well, which is definitely another really nice feature. You also have AMG badging right here with the Mercedes logo here as well. Also, you have the Mercedes-Benz oil area there. You have this right here, which is the windshield washer fluid there, and yeah, so overall, it's definitely really cool. I want to show you guys a couple more things before we check out the rest of this design, because even these little covers here have the Mercedes-Benz logo on them. So just in case you don't realize that this car is full Mercedes, well, there you have it. So now that we checked out pretty much all of this really cool engine bay, let's close it up and then talk about the rest of the design. And actually, check this out. If you guys are wondering what this is for, there's actually heat retardant metal, and what that means is that when this hood is closed, the engine obviously gets hot, because the temperature that the internal combustion engine gets when it's working is on average around 150 to 200 degrees, so that could easily melt this stuff. But instead, Mercedes decided to add this nice metal here that will block out the heat from the rest of the hood. So that is definitely a really nice feature. Let's close it up. It was a little loud, but let's close it up and then move on to the side here, because here you guys can see it. This is the longer wheelbase version of the S-Class, and what I mean by that is this. So the regular S-Class has the door around to here. It's more small, but as you guys can see here, the door is massive on this S-Class, and also the overall length of the car is longer than a regular S-Class. But that is definitely something we'll talk about more. You have that V8 bar turbo badge there. You have the really nice mirror here with your nice Mercedes-Benz little blinker light there as well. You have a little camera here as well, which is pretty good for anti-theft and stuff like that. Then also you have this, which is really nice. The like flattening door handles, which is another really nice feature. You have Mercedes-Benz badging inside of there, and the reason why Mercedes does this is because it does make the car more aerodynamic. So when the air is flowing over the car, when you're going at speeds of up to 186 miles an hour, well, when these are closed, there's not as much air resistance, and if they're open, obviously there is more, but once you go into gear, well, they close up automatically. So that is definitely also quite nice. Now, let's move on a little more on the side here. You have more of that like dark goldish trim here, and as you guys could see, this car is quite aerodynamic. Like, it's extremely slopey. The overall design of this car is definitely extremely slopey, and yeah, you also have glass roof, which is another nice feature right there. Then you move on to this rear over here, because it is also quite nice. And first thing first, I want to talk about this, because you have these really nice rear lights here with AMG badging here. Just in case you didn't realize this was an AMG, you have these really nice rear lights here with Mercedes-Benz badging inside of there, as you guys can see. Then you also have that really cool like floating square type of design in the headlight there, which is another really nice feature there. Then also you have the Mercedes-Benz signature Mercedes-Benz star on the back here. You have S63 badging right here as well in red, which is obviously a sporty color. Then you could hop down here, and this is another area that makes it feel more AMG-ish, I guess you could say, because overall this car, the rear of it at least, doesn't look that much different than the regular S-Class. The main ways you could tell the difference is obviously this, because in the AMG version you have AMG badge rear exhaust, which is definitely a really nice feature, and you have AMG badge on both sides. These are actual proper metal, but when you look inside of them, you actually see that they're two separate little exhausts right there. Check that out. Those are actually two separate exhausts and not two massive exhausts, interestingly enough. Then, also, you can see over here, you have these nice little, little air diffusers here, the rear diffuser, and a relatively flat underbody, surprisingly enough. Okay, so now that you got pretty much all of this really cool car from the exterior and the specs, well, now let's hop inside and then near the end of our video. Okay, so now that we're in this side, this seriously nice car, well, first thing first, let's talk about this door area, because you have this really nice seat, this really nice seat adjuster here. You have your fan here, and then your heating, so there could be heating and cooling actually in the seats, which is quite nice. You have your door handle, lock and unlock there, then also your window switch there, and this is the massive piece that you kind of you close the door with that piece there. You have a really nice speaker here as well. Those are actually Burmester, so those are some like top quality speakers. Then also you have this under area here, and as you guys might have noticed, this Mercedes has lots of ambient lighting, like check this out. All around the interior, there's really nice ambient lighting, blue actually, under here and here, like literally everywhere. Even the door handle has its own ambient lighting, which is definitely also quite interesting. Then also you have this nice little storage space under here. You have some nice leathery trim there, and now let's talk a little bit about the seats, since we checked out that side area, because the seats are definitely extremely comfortable. You have AMG badging here, which is quite nice. A Fahrzeugbach AMG badging here as well, with the really nice AMG badge there. And yeah, the seats overall are definitely quite nice. I'm going to show you guys something really cool in a second, but you have these really nice seats that are also really comfortable, and they hold you in place relatively well. Not the best, because obviously it's not a track car, but they do hold you in place quite well. And yeah, so you have those nice seats there. Then, well, I'm going to show you guys the seat belts, because check this out. So you have your seatbelt here, but look at these seatbelt areas. Check this out. Look at this right here. It literally glows red. So at nighttime, you could see your seatbelts, which is definitely another really nice feature that I've never before seen on a production car. So that is definitely also quite nice. So seatbelts are also quite soft. You also have this interesting piece of red ambient lighting kind of moving back and forth. Okay, so I guess maybe I said something like, okay, maybe I said something that turned the Mercedes-Benz version of Siri on, but that was definitely also quite interesting. Then you also have these nice little two vents here as well, which is actually quite cool. You have two separate little AC vents there. You can turn them on or off via this little button here, which is also a nice little feature. And yeah, so that is definitely also really nice. Then you can pop this little glove box here open, and you have a nice little space under there, and you have a little light in there with this little circle thing there. You also have like a certain thing they have to put in, like a certain amount of numbers they have to put in to open it up. And yeah, so they're actually also quite spacious there, which is definitely a nice little feature to have. And I just want to talk a little bit also about the leg room here, because even though this seat is, yeah, there's still like loads of space back there for the passenger, I still have literally like loads and loads of space. Like literally my feet, okay, yeah, finally, my feet are reaching the ends there. So for anyone, you definitely have a great amount of space. And just right now, I have loads of knee room and loads of leg room. So that is definitely also quite nice. Then I want to talk a little bit also about the view out of this car, because even though this is extremely slanted, like the window is extremely slanted, it is still like you have a great amount of view just because of your position, like the way you're positioned and everything. You do have a great amount of view out of this window, so that is definitely also quite nice. Then also let's talk a little bit about this interesting area here, because you have this piano trim here, at least that's what Mercedes calls it, piano black trim coming across there, which is definitely also really nice. Then also you have your main dashboard here with little airbags there. You have little speakers here as well, which is definitely another really nice feature. And then you actually have more AC vents here as well, which is definitely also quite nice. And yeah, they actually move separately. And actually, if you guys might be wondering why these AC vents look familiar, well, they're actually modeled off of the Mercedes-Benz, the rear exhaust pipes. that's what their model off. It checks out. They look actually identical to the rear exhaust pipes on the back of this car, like I showed you guys earlier in this video. So each of these are like the separate little exhaust vents there. So that is definitely also a really cool feature. And so now that we checked out a majority of this interior, let's move on to the interesting part, which is this screen. Because I recently did review the Mercedes SL680 Maybach, and that screen was not that great. But this, we actually have a little S-Class there. This one, yeah, I mean, it's still laggy. It's not as bad as the SL680, but it's definitely not extremely quick. And interestingly, you have a little gray/black S-Class there instead of a black one like we're currently sitting in. But that's still quite nice. You have that nice little 3D generated S-Class. You go to home here, and it just shows like the rear view of it. But then you could scroll down, and you have the different, you could see like the news, the radio, in different settings like that. You could also so you could lock the rear tablets back there, just in case you don't want kids or something getting to them. You also have functions here. You have heads-up display, because this does have a heads-up display. I don't know if you guys could see, but you do have a heads-up display up there as well. Yeah, but anyways, that is also definitely quite nice. You have 3D driver display as well. You have car wash mode. You could also raise or lower the level. You have Parkatronic and an active lane keeping assist there. Then you can move to the side here, and you can lower the headrests there. And actually, it says lower headrester. Lower the headrester. Interesting, but yeah, so you have lower the headrester there. You have interior protection, towaway alarm, and then also block trunk access. Then you go to notifications, you have share content, and then you also have favorites. So you could have like browsers, you could see the consumption of your car, you could turn the display off, and then you also have the manual right there. So let's exit out of there. You could also, yeah, that's the same area there. And yeah, so overall, the screen is actually, there's not that many settings there, I believe. You also have your sound there. You can mute it. You could also turn off the display as well. You could go to different modes. You could go into sport mode and all types of different modes like that, interestingly enough. And then they pop up there. Oh, so that's a fingerprint sensor, actually, so that you get onto your screen. That's also quite interesting. You could also go to car, and you have all the other settings that I showed you guys there. Then, also, if you adjust the settings on the steering wheel, then it could go into different sport modes and different modes like that. So that is definitely a really nice feature. Now, I checked out pretty much all of that interesting screen, which actually I feel like had way less features compared to the SL680 screen that I reviewed. It definitely has way less features, but still, I definitely think it's relatively quick. Then, also, you have this area over here with your two nice little cup holders here. You have two USB-Cs in there as well, which light up, so it's really nice. And then you also have some more ambient lighting in here. And I don't know what's up with Mercedes and ambient lighting, but there is so much ambient lighting in Mercedes, like everywhere. Like, even check this out. There's even more ambient lighting inside of there, which is definitely also quite interesting. You also have a little phone charger there. You have a really nice key here as well, which I didn't show you guys, but I want to show you guys that now, because check this out. You have a really nice AMG badging here. You could lock your car with the AMG badge and the Mercedes badge, and you could unlock it with that button, and then also open the trunk there, which is definitely a really nice feature. You could also pop this closed, just in case you want a more nice, like luxurious, simple feel in there, but that is definitely another really nice feature. So let's pop that closed and open up this center console area right here. So pop that, and yeah, so literally you barely have any space. Look at this. There's like less than an inch of space down here. Like, yeah, you might be able to fit like some paper or something, but you cannot fit that much unless you're just putting your phone in there. So that is definitely also pretty interesting. You also have USB-C, two USB-C chargers in there as well, which is definitely another really nice feature. And a lot of features on Mercedes are like shared, because this center console area is identical to the SL680. This area is pretty much identical also to SL680, and a lot of the car is identical. But yeah, so that is definitely also quite interesting. Now let's move on to this area here, because you have your mirror, you have your different, you could turn off the rear seat airbags there as well. You could open the panoramic roof there as well. I'm just gonna open this area right here, but you can open up that panoramic roof there, which is definitely another really nice feature. You could also turn on your little lights there as well, which is another nice feature. You have the little chargers there, and then also you could open up the little area there. And actually, you could also adjust the lights in the rear there as well, just in case you want to read or something like that. So now that we checked out pretty much all of this really cool interior, let's move on to this area here. So yeah, you have the Mercedes-Benz S-Class in the center there. You can see 0 to 60 or at least a miles per hour there. You can see if the hands-free driving or lane assist is on, which is also another really nice feature right there. So that is definitely also quite nice. Then you also have tire pressure display. You have message memory. You have assist plus. So the last service. Oh, so it's not showing the last service in 365 days, but that's still, it's definitely quite nice. And you could also see your range there, so 165 miles left. You see the battery percentage, you could see the time, and that is pretty much all. And actually, this screen is inspired by F1 cars, interestingly enough, because you also have like your fuel temperature, oil temperature, and different things like that there, but they are hidden. But you also have those really nice features there. And I actually like the way it's like, it almost runs you with a tablet, interestingly enough, but it's pretty cool the way that screen is. So now, let's move on to this area here, the steering wheel, because you have a really nice leather-clad steering wheel with the Mercedes-Benz badging there. You have your park and shifter right there as well, which is also quite nice. Then, actually, yeah, you have really nice paddle shifters there as well. And you can actually adjust the different settings into sport mode and comfort mode and wet mode with this one, and then change the like suspension settings right there. So that is definitely another really nice feature. You could also go to home on this screen here with all the other actually really cool apps, like you have track pace, which yeah, it times you on different tracks. So right now, it's showing Circuit of the Americas, but you could upload different tracks onto there. You could also put it into drag race mode, which is also quite nice. You also have telemetry, like your 0 to 60. You can see their top speed. You can see accelerator pedal, like how far you're pushing onto it, and all types of different really cool settings there. So that is definitely also really nice. So yeah, then, also, actually, when you went into that mode where it showed the track package, it automatically changes the Mercedes screen here, check this out, into this interesting type of look, because now you could see your rev limiter right here, check this out. So you have 0 to 8,000 RPM right there, which is really cool. You have your G-forces there as well, and you can also see the speed you're going in miles per hour there. So that is definitely also quite nice. Now that we checked out pretty much all of this extremely cool interior, well, now let's hop in the back seats and show you guys why this might be one of the coolest back seats I've ever been in. Okay, so now that we're in the back seat of this car, well, first thing first, I'm going to talk about is these seats, because they are insanely comfortable. You literally have pillows attached to the rear here. You have adjustable seats here, which are also really nice, and they're actually made of a different material than the front seat. Check this out. They're like more comfortable and like fabric covered almost, so they feel the most comfortable. And yeah, so that is definitely quite nice, interesting. So yeah, you have this nice luxury seat belts there. Then you also have this really nice screens here, because you have different massages here. So you have all types of different massages. Let's see, the backrest massage. Yeah, so I should be able to feel. Alright, let's put it into intensive so we can feel this better. Yeah, so yeah, I can feel it now. Now, so you have those nice different massages there. You could also, let me try out this calf massage. So extend calf rest. What the? There's like really strong vibrations. They're like vibrating my calves. That is interesting. But yes, you have those interesting calf massages there, which is quite cool. You have all types of different settings. Like you'd also have wave massage here, which just goes all the way down your back, as you guys could see on the screen there. So you have different wave massages there, which has also a nice features there. So you have those massages there. You also have seats here, like seat positioning. You guys can see. So you have Oh, I guess I could just put it into the most relaxed mode. So let me show you guys that now. So a little piece should come out down here, and yeah, the seat's like relaxing back. Now the seat's going more forward while a massage is happening, and yeah, so this is the most luxurious position that it goes into. The seat folds all the way forward, that piece comes out all the way, and the seat is gradually laying back. So yeah, it's going into the most hyper luxury mode, and yeah, so that is definitely also quite nice. Now I literally have like a full-on layback experience. You couldn't just turn it on via here. You have to turn it on via the screen, but that still is also, yeah, definitely quite nice. Yeah, now you also have ambient lighting here. The only problem with this is that you have to reach forward to touch the screen. Because check this out. You have to reach all the way forward to adjust the color of like the ambient lighting and stuff. But yes, so that is definitely also quite nice. And yeah, then you also have adaptive rear lighting. So the lighting adjusts. You could have like reading light, work light, and two-tone light. So the different lights turn on different intervals. That is definitely also quite nice. You also have charge navigation. You could see your navigation here. And this screen, it's definitely slower than the front screen, but it's not that bad. You also have phone, you have radio, media, MB apps, and then also AMG Performance. So, okay, so I guess none of those are available except for IWC, which is interesting. That's actually the timing, like the track timing, which is definitely another really cool feature. Then you also see consumption when you're driving the car. You have also track pace there with your different settings there. You could put it into drag race mode, and then you could also put it into telemetry. So now that checked out pretty much all of the really cool screen, let's check out a couple more things before we hop out. So you have these really nice ambient like lights up here. You have these usually should light up, but they're not lit up currently. You also have your massive like I believe they're called 3D and 4D Bose speakers, which is another really nice feature. You also have your open glass here. Then also your really nice armrest here, which actually you could pop open, and you have some storage in here. But the interesting thing is this, because check this out. So when you regularly close this up, you have one layer, right? You put this down, and then you have another layer that you need to put down. Then you have another layer that you need to put down. And once you're able to put that back, well then, I guess now you have the access to the trunk via this hole here. So there's whole 3 layers back here just to access the trunk. But once it is forward, you do have a nice little armrest right here with a nice little iPad screen thing that you could put right there. So now let's put this up. You do also have a center seat here, which is, yeah, let me just say, not that comfortable. Like compared to these side seats, the center seat is not comfortable at all. But then you also have these nice little AC bits here. Then you have different settings here for the AC and different settings like that. So now let's check the approach all of this really cool car. Now let's hop out and near the end of this video. Okay, so now I checked out pretty much all of this really cool car, from the specs to the interior and the exterior. Well, now I need to rate it, and as you guys might have noticed, I am filming this a little bit different just because this car is so comfortable. But now, let me give you guys my official rating of this car, because my official rating is going to be a good 9.1. And if you guys are wondering why, well, it is extremely luxurious. Like, this car is just wildly comfortable. The suspension and ride quality is also going to be definitely really nice because it is a Mercedes. And also, well, of course, the performance, since this is the AMG model, the performance is pretty wild. So I hope you guys like this video. Remember to like and subscribe to Xaaron Reviews, and also check out my brand new climbing channel with the link I'll put in the description below. So I'll see you guys in the next video.